in Hollywood. Now we are going to head on to more of the meat and potatoes, which I always like to call that, part of the podcast where we talk some wrestling, brother. This week we are going to, actually tonight, if you're watching this on Tuesday, the day that it airs, Talks with Taeler Hendrix Tuesday. We should make that a thing, Talks with Taeler Hendrix Tuesday. Looking at you, Russo's brand. Calling you out. So tonight we are going to see the second annual Great American Bash brought to you by the black and gold brand of WWE known as NXT. NXT is preparing for a very interesting card. We are going to have 3 title matches. We're going to have 2 bigger segments and a grudge match. What's really cool about this card is it's very rare to see a main event like status match where there's not a title on the line, where all the rest of the matches are title matches basically. So I think that that speaks to the rivalry itself of what's going on in the main event, in my opinion. So we're going to build up to that. Tonight you are going to see, and if you are watching this after Tuesday, sorry. Better late than never, right? Okay. So you are going to see the WWE NXT Women's Tag Team titles on the line as the Ways, Candice LeRae, and Indy Hartwell prepare to go toe-to-toe with the challengers who won this very opportunity as the #1 contenders last week in a triple threat tag team match. So the Way is going to be going up against Zoe Stark and Io Shirai, the former WWE NXT Women's Champion, who had a reign of over 300 plus days before her loss to the new NXT Women's Champion Raquel Gonzalez. So last week was a very interesting matchup because there were so many different moving pieces that if you pay attention, you're seeing storylines at work, which is something that I personally really love to see. It's the little interwoven intricacies, and the subtlety, if you will, that make certain storylines. And if you pay attention, you can see stuff really last months and months and months at a time. So in the triple threat match, we saw Zoe Stark and Io Shirai pairing up and taking on 2 other tag teams of Raquel Gonzalez, the NXT Women's Champion, and her partner and BFF Dakota Kai. These 2 were the inaugural Women's NXT Tag Team Champions. And also in this match was the other tag team duo of Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart. Now, these ladies were the ladies that dethroned the inaugural tag team champions of Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez. So there is so much going on in this matchup, but at the end of the day, there can only be one winner, and those were Zoe Stark and Io Shirai. And that is how Io Shirai and Zoe Stark are going to be going up against the current WWE NXT Tag Team Champions with the titles on the line against the Ways, Candice LeRae, and Indy Hartwell. We'll have to see who comes out on top. Boom! Tag team women's wrestling. I love it. As you guys know, I'm a huge fan of tag team wrestling. Always have been, even before I even started wrestling when I was a kid. Love it. The other tag team match that you were going to see is going to be MSK going up against Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. Now, I've been on cards with MSK, but I've actually personally wrestled Ciampa. So I know that this match is going to be intense. You're going to have Ciampa and Thatcher really trying to keep MSK grounded, in my opinion, because I think when you have an acrobatic sort of high-flying, high-risk, very fast-paced style, like boom, 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 go, 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 up, down, flip, boom, doom, you're dangerous that way because it can be unpredictable, and it also keeps somebody off of their toes. When you have a more power-based, technical type of wrestler, they're going to want to ground wrestlers that are very acrobatic and high-flying and fast-paced. So it doesn't mean that they can't keep up, it just means they're going to play to their strengths. So I think in this match, we're going to see Ciampa and Thatcher really trying to keep MSK grounded and maybe even trying to isolate one of them from the other. Because as it stands right now, MSK has not lost when they're going on 2-on-2 since they've debuted at NXT. So this is really where they shine as tag team competitors. But what will happen if Ciampa or Thatcher both together are able to actually isolate one of the members of MSK? Then we could see a huge paradigm shift here, and it'll be a lot easier when you isolate one of the partners from their corner so they can't get back to their corner. You're going to weaken and beat down body parts of that and create weaknesses that could really ultimately shift the favor of the match. So I'm very excited, especially with Ciampa having so much in-ring experience, both in tag team and singles competition. He has really been a mainstay since he's been back at NXT. So that'll be definitely a must-see match. I'm very excited to see if they do take the dynamic that we're discussing right now. Because if I was in Ciampa's and Thatcher's position, that's exactly what I would do. I would try to keep that I would try to isolate and keep them grounded so they can't be up everywhere, and I would try to put the fight on my terms. That is how I would approach that. We also are going to see the $1 Million Championship match. Now, this is going to be very interesting because obviously LA Knight is the $1 Million Champion. He currently is sporting Ted DiBiase's belt, and there are some very interesting stipulations going on for this match. So you have LA Knight versus Cameron Grimes. Cameron Grimes being the former $1 Million Championship under the tutelage of Ted DiBiase. Okay, now this belt has such a lengthy history, so that's very exciting to be a part of. But what makes this match very dicey is if Cameron Grimes loses, he's going to have to be the butler of LA Knight. I don't think I would want to be anybody's butler, so I would definitely be going into that match trying to find any sort of weakness that I can to turn that match in my favor to ultimately gain the advantage and overall result of what I want out of that match, which is some gold around my waist, aka the $1 Million Championship match. This is going to be very, very interesting. These two have done very, very well feuding together. So I think this will be a very interesting matchup. I really do. Cameron Grimes originally lost the title at NXT's In Your House. So I think he definitely has a chip on his shoulder and wants that gold back because that's, you know, a statement. So we'll see if that statement gets made with an exclamation point, a period, or a ... We are also going to see two, not one, but two segments. One is going to be kind of a celebration of sorts called a championship cipher, I think is how you want to call that. We are going to see the new North Atlantic champion, Isaiah Swerve Scott, along with Hit Row, getting to celebrate Isaiah Swerve Scott's title win over Bronson Reed, the former North Atlantic, North Atlantic or North American? Forgive me, I've been hitting the head so much in wrestling. Either way, these guys have been doing some serious business down at NXT. North American. There you go. North American title. You guys have to remember, I am doing all of this off of memory, so I think that speaks to how hard I work at, you know, my brain, because all I do is write little tiny notes, and I do the entire podcast just based off of memory with little tiny little cliffhanger notes. Little footnotes. So Hit Row is going to be doing this championship cipher. They're celebrating the huge win after Scott has officially been the NXT North American champion for 1 week, starting off a brand new chapter in his career. They're going to have a hurrah, but we're probably going to see some stuff happen with that hurrah because it wouldn't be wrestling if it didn't. And the second segment, probably even more heated than the other, is going to be a face-to-face segment with Karrion Kross, the NXT champion, versus Gargano. Johnny Gargano is officially the next challenger, the new #1 contender for that title, and he is not one to back down by any means. So I think we're going to have a really intense, heated, hateful, just face-to-face segment. You know, I think we can expect to see some fudgy stuff happen, you know, because you have the mixture of Scarlet Bordeaux, you have the Way, you've got so many moving pieces. So this is also going to be a very intense matchup, and we don't actually have an official date of when their match is going to take place. So who knows? We could find out at the Great American Bash. And that leads us all to the main event of the evening for the Great American Bash. Highlighting and headlining this iconic event is none other than two friends turned foes, when we have Adam Cole taking on Kyle O'Reilly. Now, this is not the first time that these friends have turned foes, and every single time the matches have been bloody brilliant. Man, they had a huge epic battle at Ring of Honor the night before my no DQ match with Mandy Leon in December of 2016, and it was epic. So that fired up Mandy Leon and I so much that we actually turned up our game. We were like, we have to match this. Yeah. And it was awesome. So I love the pairing of Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly. It's something that I've actually said in a Fightful.com article that I wrote. I read somewhere one time, it was something to the effect of, treat your friends as if they could become enemies, and your enemies as if they could one day become friends. You know, and that's one of the reasons why people always say, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. Know thy friends as thy enemy. And I think that that's what's going on here. You know, this is the only match on this card that does not have a title involved. That speaks to the level of storytelling, talent, and the actual rivalry itself between these two former friends turned foes. Nobody knows you quite like your friend, your real true friends do, you know? So this will be very interesting as they go tit for tat, basically trying to kill each other and end each other, just in a very similar fashion that the Undisputed Era was ended. And that will be the main event of the evening for the Great American Bash, highlighting the extent and plethora of talent that is currently residing and holding down the fort of the black and gold brand known as NXT.